welcome back, footy fans, to another episode of Donnie's Disposals. I am your host, Coach Donnie Hess here, back with another AFL/AFLW round review. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, because of the overlap of the men's and the women's, I thought let's do a mega episode. So, those of you that don't like the women, you may not like all of this episode. I apologize, but I gotta save myself a little bit of time because doing 5 podcasts in a week, not always so much fun. So, we're going to do a mega episode, round 23 of the men's and round one of the women's. And joining me today, a very good friend of mine, somebody that I have talked with a lot and has woken up. So I'm going to allow him to be a little bit more lethargical at this current point. And that is Chris from the Bevy of Bloods. Chris, it is great to talk to you again, sir.
Hey, Donny, mate. It's good to talk to you. Hey, the coffee's kicking in. Don't worry, I'll be nice and fired up in about 2 minutes, so we'll be good.
Awesome, awesome. For one time, it's flipped. For one time, it's not me waking up in the early,
That's
in the
right.
wee hours in the morning. For once, so I had to have a little bit of fun with this. So, all right, Chris, let's jump right into it. We have round 23 of the men's and round one of the women's to discuss your thoughts on 16 games of footy. I know it's a lot, but we were
Mhm.
treated to some classics on both comps.
Yeah, I mean, the really interesting point, like at the end of the season for one of the competitions in the men's heading into finals. So, you've got half well, you'd say 10 teams to tally out the picture, arguably nine. And then the other half are just kind of sitting in there. So, yeah, that was a pretty good wrap up of footy, I think. And we can talk about a couple of the games that are going to be fun, and just to see how everyone's kind of coming into form. And sad to see that, Fife didn't get any love from his team at home. For the last couple of games towards the end of the season. But on the AFLW side, yeah, like some exciting thing. And I think what's really exciting there, we may not necessarily get to it in detail today, but just about the competition is sharpening up. Like the quality of competition in AFLW is getting noticeably better and better. And yeah, this weekend was a great testament to it. First round, everyone's nice and healthy. So yeah, competition looks sharp. Let's get into it.
Cannot wait for it. I will say this when we go to cover that I think Gemma Bastiani may have said it first. Are we looking at this year's AFLW draft class as being a super draft? Because look at how many youngsters made an impact on this week's game. So we'll discuss that a little bit. We will start with the men since we are winding down. We are through round 23, only one more round left in the home and away. Now, we are going to do this a little bit like my state league reviews. We're going to go through all the results, and then Chris and I'll pick out a couple of games that we want to discuss really quickly. So then we're not here for 3.5 hours. So we will start off Thursday night footy. Saw the St. Kilda Saints knock off the Essendon Bombers by 2 at 77-75. The Lions with an impressive road victory at Fremantle, 101-44, a 57-point win for the Lions. The Giants keep their dominance over the Suns with a 111-76 win over the Suns. Carlton bouncing back with an impressive win over the Port Adelaide Power, 118-64. The Hawks with a strong performance at the MCG, knocking off the D's 92-56. What has to be game of the round in a low scoring but fantastic game of football as the Crows beat the Pies by 3, 59-56. North Melbourne decides to finally play some good football, and Harry Sheezel goes absolutely boonta with 54 disposals as the Roos smash the Richmond Tigers down in Hobart, 135-87. The Cats really put the final nail into Sydney's coffin during the season with a 111-68 win over the Swans at the SCG. And the Doggies said, hold my beer. We're going to end with an absolute smashing as they destroy the West Coast Eagles by 94, 126-32. Sir, the easiest way to say it is we have two really good games. The rest were less than impressive. So let's go back to Thursday night footy
Yeah, that's about right.
in one that I know not everybody was super happy that Essendon again gets another primetime game, but at least they gave us a good game. But I'm almost looking at it going, is this an impressive performance by St. Kilda or Essendon, or is this St. Kilda playing again down to its opponent?
Yeah, it's a really good way to talk about it. I don't disagree with you. I don't really feel that St Kilda did have the tools to kind of sharpen this up and get a good league going and kind of a momentum moving. Like the Bombers came out and played the game that the Bombers expect to play, and they weren't. They're still just missing pieces, and they're not as big in certain areas, and they just don't. Maybe if they don't link up properly, it's just like they get their heads dejected, they get heads down, they get dejected, and then the ball just goes rolling backwards, and they just can't do a whole lot going out of the back half. And so it's just you've got so many good players there. They're probably going to make it. They should be off there making a good name for themselves and probably some other clubs at the Bombers. But yeah, see them go down by 2 points is pretty dejecting. I think the real star players here, I'm going to be honest with you, Donny, the star players at the Bombers are the fans, mate. They cop it every
Hmm.
single week, and they do it in the podcast on that side of the coin. All of the Bombers podcasts do a great job of just trying to get through the emotion that is a Bombers fan. And it's just been another tough season for them. Really, it just you kind of go, okay, when's this all going to end?
Hmm.
I don't know. I'm starting to turn, mate. I'm starting to get to that point where I'm excited about their first finals win when it eventually happens. So we'll see how we go. But yeah, good on Ross Lyon is pulling up his little team together, and yeah, they're going to need to sharpen up if they want to do more to get deeper into the finals or so.
No, I get it, and the great news of Nasiah signing that 2-year contract, which I've
Mm,
said to a couple people, I think this is actually a brilliant deal by Nasiah's agent because they have bridged him to free agency, and with the salary cap
yeah,
going up, with more talk about the cap being at a point where it's starting to be a little higher. Nasiah may actually have not lost any money by not signing that massive deal that people said from Port Adelaide or Adelaide. He may get a bigger deal come free
yeah.
agency in 2 years if he really wants it. So I think this is
Mm,
a masterstroke by Nasiah. He's basically given St. Kilda 2 years to get there together, or he's going to go find a place that's willing to pay him and to maybe get him a chance to play in some finals, which
mm,
I will also echo you on that. Essendon supporters, I pray that one day this happens very soon because I know this is frustrating. You guys continue to show up. It's a lot like West
mm,
Coast. I respect you because you're constantly showing up for your club. So I really, really appreciate it. Let's go over to a club that I think has been fascinating to watch this season. That's the Adelaide Crows knocking off Collingwood 59-56. We are not going to discuss any of the drama. Okay, this is going to be purely about football here. The Crows, if you just
yeah,
watch the first quarter, if you just watch the
yeah,
first quarter, I don't think anybody would have presumed that Adelaide would have won this football game. You would have thought
no,
Collingwood's going to roll over them. Like this,
yep,
it looked like it was going to be a complete mismatch. And the second quarter, I don't know what Stevie Nicks said at quarter time, but whatever he did sparked him because they absolutely went for it in the second quarter, roared back, and then the second half was literally an arm wrestle. And maybe it's me. I know 59-56. Some people are like, this is a crap. No, this was actually a really good game of football, despite the weather, because it was raining on and off again. You fans at Adelaide Oval, you guys are legends for staying
mm,
in some of that weather thing. This is just a cracking game of football. I thoroughly enjoyed this game of football. Did not disappoint me. And I'm sitting here, I'll say it. I was one of the first to jump on the Crows bandwagons early in the season. I think they're going to win the minor premiership purely because they're playing some really good footy. I know
mm,
some people are looking at the inside 50s. I look at inside 50s a lot like shots in the NHL. You can put up a ton, but if you're not
mm,
doing anything with it, it really is a meaningless stat. So the
mm.
people that are making it off like this is Adelaide's defense saving them. No, I look at the weather conditions. I also look at this is a Collingwood side that honestly sometimes they can be toothless. And this particular game, I really think they were.
Yeah, mate, that's a pretty good wrap up. I think with the Crows and the weather, it's impossible to say that this game was going to be anything but kind of exciting. It's going to be at home. We all know Collingwood's going to drag a crowd wherever they're going to be. The Crows fans, and from first-hand experience, the Crows fans are insane. They are
Mhm.
crazy, dude. They don't give a they go nuts. So you knew it was always going to kind of come and turn around. Yeah, look, wet of footy when there were 33-8 in that first quarter, and the rain
Mhm.
kind of kicked in, and you're like, that's the game done. Like if they
Yeah.
go 1 for 1 or 1 for 2, like it's going to be a really, really tough match. And no, Croatia just came back in that second quarter and absolutely smoked them in a really they went out there and were prepared to play kind of wet weather footy where they kind of put a couple of bodies around where the ball was going to land and then just got it running out of the thing. Whereas you kind of saw the Pies were always trying to play defense. They were playing defense the entire time.
Mhm.
Then they were trying to rely on their kind of silky moves, and that just wasn't going to work for them. So it's surprisingly a bit of a tactical loss for the Pies, considering they're typically kind of pretty good to get out there and play a slightly different style and then just revert back to their old one. But yeah, cracking game, man. Like, and it says a lot to both teams heading into a really pointy part of the competition. Crows are going to be dangerous. Let's see how we go, especially if they get a couple finals at home.
Yeah,
Going to be
it's
nuts.
gonna be fascinating. That, like I said, we weren't gonna discuss any of the other stuff. We're gonna let that go because I think there's still a lot to come into that. So I'm not gonna speak on that. So anybody that's tuning in,
The right. What about
what's
the
coach want to
field fall
say?
kick? That's got to be a fifth. That's got to be a free kick. That is a free
For
kick
me,
every day.
I'm gonna make some people pretty turbed, especially Collingwood fans. I think he was trying to kick it up to the referee, so I really don't mind the non 50 personally.
I don't
I
disagree with you, but nonetheless,
I
wasted
honestly think that's
time.
what he was doing, and he just buggered it up. But the carry
Yeah.
on has been hilarious. Like,
Yeah, I love it. But
I've
you love it when, especially when it happens to Collingwood, because you go, okay, let's run the tape and let's see all the dumb stuff you guys get away with. But you're not gonna. So just
I've
roll
seen it.
on next week. Get on with it.
I will give the Crow supporters this. They have pointed out how many times I've seen people respond back to going, yeah, well, what about the Dawson high that wasn't called? So it's turnabout's fair play. So
Exactly.
I
It's
will
gonna happen.
sometimes it's just gonna happen. Like you cop your whack and just take it. So
Yep.
all right, so that is the men's. Let's jump over to the women's round one. I was so excited for this because again, I'm super into the women's competition. I think it is growing and growing and growing. And as we saw this week, so many young superstars came to play in this. Let's jump to Thursday night footy, where we saw the old rivalry, which again, I think this is a little bit of AFL House trying to make the men's rivalry into the women's. I don't
Yes.
think it really is. But
Nope.
we'll go with it. Okay, we'll go with it. All right. The Carlton Blues get a nice win over the Collingwood Magpies 45-21. Centra, the number one overall pick. Not only did she have not a bad game for limited minutes, but now she's gone viral with that in between the legs bounce that even I think her fellow Magpie Nick Dacos couldn't even figure out. Now it's going
Yeah.
viral in Australia. It's kind of hilarious to me, but I had to throw that out. I thought it was funny that a women's footy player is going viral for being able to dribble bounce through her legs. I thought that was fantastic.
Mm.
We go out west to Mineral Resources Park as the West Coast Eagles start like they did last year with a solid win as Ella Roberts shines for the Eagles in a 15-point win over the Suns 35-20. I know a game that we both were keeping an eye on at North Sydney Oval. How magnificent was it on Friday night footy as the Swans get a 20-point win over the Richmond Tigers 58-38. We will discuss the superstar that emerged from this game a little bit later. North Melbourne defend their championship with another solid win down at GMHBA Stadium, beating the Cats 51-21. The Bombers with an absolute smashing of the Giants, who lost their number one player, Elise Parker, to a foot early in this game. And unfortunately, the Giants were really, really rudderless from that point on. The Melbourne Demons may be back as they get a smashing over the Doggies 62-14. Probably game of the round as the Apprentice beats the Master as the Hawks beat the Brisbane Lions 33-29, a 4-point win at Brighton Homes. Here is the shocker of the round as the vaunted Adelaide Crows fall to the St. Kilda Saints, not by 1 or 2 points, by 22 points, 41-19. We will discuss that fallout. And the Fremantle Dockers bounce back. The return of Kiera Bowers and Edge Stannett proved to be fantastic additions as they go to Alberton Oval in Adelaide and beat the Power 46-24. Let's go to it. We'll save the game of the round for the last game that we'll talk about. There's three games I want to talk about. First, let's go out west. Daisy Pierce starts off her season just like she did last year with a win, but Ella Roberts, you superstar, absolutely shined in this game over the Suns. And I'm excited for this young, pesky Eagles team. But not only did Ella Roberts shine, but you also had Lucia Painter kicks three in her AFLW debut as well. I'm liking what Daisy Pierce is doing out west. This is going to be a fun West Coast Eagles team to watch this year.
And I do love her getting a good an opportunity to really kind of showcase what coaching she can have. I think there was talk about her actually at one point getting an assistant cats role
Hmm.
for the men's, and yeah, she's gone over to the AFLW and starting to show that she can really kind of put it together. Like you look at the Eagles, you look at the Suns, kind of like on I would have genuinely thought the Suns kind of had this one. I want to say it's a huge upset, but definitely a strong win tactical win. You're going to look at West Coast being pretty dangerous. It's a long travel to get over there,
Mhm.
so if they can get themselves some solid games over there, and I don't know, I haven't seen all their matchups for the year, but yeah, you know what, finals berth maybe there for them. I think I would love to see more for the Suns in terms of consistency,
Mhm.
and that's kind of gone back the last couple of years. They do have good players, and they kind of lean on them a little bit too much, I feel, and they kind of need that kind of that second tier of players to kind of step up a little bit, presenting and probably be a bit tougher. See where we end up with Suns, but yeah, a good way to kick off a mad season. I think this season is going to be absolutely beautiful, and I think they're asking a lot of questions already in a very
Yeah.
short season.
Now, I think with the Suns, their biggest issue is they've had a lot of injury troubles to start off the year. I know their main ruck, Lauren Bella has been hurt. They've had several people with walking wounded. I think Claudia Whitford also didn't play in this game. So they had Charlie Robot. They had Charlie Robottom, who is a superstar. I can't tell you how much I know that Swans faithful really wanted her to come join her brother at Sydney, but
Still do, but yeah.
she stayed loyal to Gold Coast, and again, I again respect her decision on that, and I think she's been fantastic for the Gold Coast Suns going up from Victoria, where she originally is from. But I don't think I can hold it back any longer, sir. We need to talk about it because I know North Sydney Oval was teeming with red and white as the Swans showed off what is a new look team with 9 new players coming into the list off of last year. And I know 5 made their debut, including the sensational, and who I will raise my hand and say I trumpeted from draft night to all the Swans fans that would listen. Zippy Fish is going to be a superstar. And boy, did she make me look like Nostradamus with 26 disposals, tying the record for most in a debut with Brianna Davy. She looked sensational. She was quick, she was decisive, her kicking was pinpoint. And God, did she look good in that red and white. So that was so much fun to watch this Swans team. Darcy Maloney kicks a goal and has a crack at her defender. Absolutely loved it.
Mhm.
This was a fantastic game, including what I think an early goal of the year contender by Cynthia Hamilton, selling candy to 2 different Richmond defenders.
That was right in front of me at that moment, and we went absolutely nuts. I mean, the small crowd that were kind of there. The crowd, sorry, when I say small crowd, just the group that we're all kind of sitting together with. Another huge North Sydney event. Full, as far as you could tell, it seemed really full at the time. It'd been raining non-stop for 2 weeks here in Sydney, and to see a little bit of sunlight, and then you're thinking, Sydney siders, look, I'm going to be honest with ourselves. We're a little bit dodgy when it comes to the rain. It rains a little bit too much. We're more inclined to stay home. But I tell you what, like as soon as good weather came up, there was a full North Sydney kind of happening, and the vibe was great. Zippy Fish and Gardner, we have a problem in the AFL W. I want to talk to you about it actually. And it's a problem that I see a lot with my team. It's that the girls look very similar. They've got similar haircuts, and it's very hard when you don't see the numbers right off the bat to tell what's going on. We've got that problem with Laura Gardner and Zippy Fish. Similar haircuts, collecting plenty of ball, getting themselves liver poisoning, and then yeah, we're struggling there again. Van Loon and Tarrant in the back there.
Yep.
Once again, similar positions, similar haircuts, girls. I'm going to have a chat with both of you. You're in touch with BT, mate. Please let her know. The only one we don't have it with is the red ribbon of death, Cynthia Hamilton, who's just like I said, just selling candy left, right, and center. Yeah, it's good. It's a really exciting time to be a Swans fan for the AFLW. Genuinely is. The men's kind of a bit of a tough season for most. But yeah, the women's is going to be superb. And I would say I would love to just talk about, I guess, um, the way that we've gone about the recruiting in the off season
Mhm.
is we lost a couple of players in the ruck. We picked up one. We lost a couple of people in the back end, like heads, and we found ourselves with somebody who's very in touch with the way we kind of play. It seemed like Scotty Gowans and his real genuine focus on a connection between all the players is really starting to
Mhm.
come together. Like the way that they played was unlike any other way that I've seen them play before. and it looks really sharp. And when it doesn't work, there's backup in defense, and they seem to just be able to keep the other side on the outside in a really nice way. So, yeah, look, mad season ahead of us. Yeah, he's hoping for finals again, and a couple of trips away with the folks, so it should be fun.
Well, and the other scary part is, and I'm going to say this, and some Sydney supporters may not like it, but I'm going to be very honest. I think Henson Park actually will fit this Swan style better than North Sydney. I think North Sydney is so
That's fun.
small that it congested a lot of things, and I think it
Mm,
actually took away. I think Zippy Fish was impressive despite the small ground. Wait till she gets on
mm,
a bigger ground when she can use her
mm.
pace and ability, and you start spreading this team out. I cannot wait. Chloe Malloy looked fantastic coming back from her
Oh,
ACL tear.
seriously.
So great to see her back with four. Great to see Ali Moore fit back. She's still kind of building
Yes.
up to it. She still wasn't 100% what she was in
Mm,
her All Australian year in 2023, but it's very hard to replicate what was an incredible year for her. I think she's building. I think it's going to be fun. I think Poppy Kelly really kind of neutralized her in that. I loved Jazz Grierson, another new addition. She brought an old steady head to the back line that was fantastic.
mm,
Ash Van Loon and Brianna Tarrant, I call them the twinnies because they look exactly alike unless they have their hair
mhm,
in different ways. But it was exactly the same thing. Brianna BT did exactly what she wanted to do. Ash Van
mhm,
Loon was fantastic back there as well. Her tackling pressure. I know she had an incredible tackle that got him holding the ball, which is another fun one. I think the holding the ball almost went a little too far personally for me, but
mhm,
in my defense also, I think it also kind of kept us from having some of those dangerous tackle possibilities by the quicker whistle. So I think the girls will figure it out relatively quickly. I
mhm,
was just incredibly impressed with it with this performance. Again, Darcy Maloney, there's still some things to grow. That's the scary part. Seeing Mon
mhm,
Ham play
mm.
up to what I think she can be is going to be fun.
Yes.
Cynthia
Yep.
Hamilton was again fantastic. Sophia Hurley is her usual consistent tackling self through the midfield. Tanya Kennedy was again herself. She got the opportunity to go at Ellie McKenzie and Mon Conti, who again, Mon Conti is still one of the best in the league. And seeing Mon Conti face Zippy Fish, and Zippy Fish's favorite player is Mon Conti, was so much
Mhm.
fun to see those two go at it. But it was just incredibly so much fun. I cannot wait to watch this Swan side. I know it just turns into Swans TV just the littlest bit here, but
Can't help it.
I was incredibly impressed with the way they played.
Yeah.
My nitpick would be goal kicking, but then again, no, it's the first
Yes.
game of the season, so I'm not going to make a big deal. And like I said, I can't wait for games at Henson because it's a bigger
Mm,
ground.
mm,
Wait for that. Wait for that. I
mm,
cannot wait. I think this is going to be a fun Swans team to watch as the season goes on. And let's jump to it. Game of the round, where the apprentice, the former assistant coach of the Brisbane Lions, comes back and takes down his master by 4 points. The Hawks looked great. Again, the Lions are another team that I don't take this first round. They lost last year against Geelong and still found a way to the grand final. But I'm telling you this, the Hawks have built their team really, really well. They are humming. They're going to be fun to watch as they grow older. Had a slight scare with Jazz Fleming. Thankfully, she's okay.
mm.
But slightly scary to see the young superstar almost go down with a knee injury midway through that game.
Yeah, she had that knee injury, came off, and then came back on and absolutely crunched the poor girl in the first opportunity that she had just to prove that she could. So don't worry about her. She's hard nut. She'll see
Yeah.
out a season perfectly fine. What a game. Like it kind of I don't even know. Was it even I didn't for me it wasn't even touted to be this kind of I know there's going to be some bad blood and everything, but to be this competitive and I think this is really highlighting the quality of the AFLW and where it's at
Yeah.
now. Like both teams were tactically sound.
Hmm.
Both teams let themselves down in goal kicking,
Hmm.
which is something you spoke about in the last game, but this is just us. But it's the arm wrestle in the middle in the contest that really make up AFLW, and it really becomes the exciting part about it all. Either team could have won this one.
Yep, I
It,
agree.
they just could have sharpened up their goal, but in terms of just a game to watch as a neutral, it was superb,
Yep.
and I think this is really where the competition's at. I think this is the outside of the kicking of footy, in the forward 50, this is the kind of quality of football from back to me that you need to see.
Well, I'm gonna say this right now, and some people may think I'm crazy, but I know that everybody talks about with the AFLW, it's the big three. Okay, it's the Adelaide, it's the Brisbane, it's the North. I'm gonna tell you this right now. I think the
Mm.
next big three could be Hawthorn, Port Adelaide, and Sydney.
Mhm.
Honestly, because their list builds have been fantastic. If you look Hawthorne's build, a lot of youngsters, super talent. They've brought in quality, experienced players to help them out. The Tillys, Lucas Rods, the KC Sheriffs, the Aileen Gilroys. And then you look at Port Adelaide, it's the same thing. Look at how many top high caliber young talent
Mhm.
with Gemma Houghton, with Christy Lamb. They've got a lot of Justine Mules. They've got a lot of experience. The three of the new teams could be the next big three in this league purely on the fact that they've built really well. It'll be fascinating. Let's go to one of the big threes in the next one because this was the stunner. Every single person that you talked to in AFLW had this marked down. Crows are going to win this. This is an easy
Mhm.
one. The Saints are an inconsistent side. They've got a few injuries. They're trying to get Georgia Pertikios back after missing an entire season with injury. And the Saints stun the Crows by 22, not just a light one, a 22-point win by the Saints. And I'll tell you this did not look like the Crows team. I know they lost Batty Newman to potentially, I'm hoping, I haven't heard anything on whether it is, I'm hoping it's not a season-ending injury, but it's another scare. And man, except for Ebony Marinoff, a lot of their superstars did not fire a shot. This is a little scary that could the mighty, once mighty Crows be coming back to the pack a little bit.
Look, I don't necessarily think that this is. I think this is an outlier for them.
All right.
I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to come good. It is. Look, it's great to see finally Adelaide's losing, and we've been all every fan of every other club have been dying for something like this to start happening consistently, so for them to be normal, to start hopefully making a bit of room in that top eight for another team to potentially have a crack at it. But look, I think they're going to be okay. We look at the inside 50s for them. They were what was it? I was just how they just in front of me, 50 to 28.
Mhm.
Like they doubled the amount of inside 50s, 50 inside 50s for 9 scoring shots and only 2 goals. That's not enough. And that's not necessarily going to happen forever. So I think just on that stat alone, I think the Crows are going to be okay. They weren't getting it quite the way they wanted to in terms of the most dangerous spots of the AFLW footy park, which is a little bit deeper in. You got to go a bit deeper than you do for the men's. But they'll adjust and they'll be okay. So that's my take on it. But I'm not taking anything away from St Kilda.
Mhm.
There was a bit of blood in the water, and they went hammering for it, and they got that done. And maybe it shows how hungry St Kilda can be as a team. But with one game in, yeah, maybe it just goes to show they're a little bit human,
Mhm.
Adelaide, and for the first time ever, but we'll see where we end up.
Yep, it'll be quite interesting. Like I said, it's just as the margin more the thing that stunned me. But
Mm,
listening to a few people, I know that Hannah Ewings is coming back from a year off. I know Eloise Jones is coming back from an ACL tear, so they might have been a little bit underdone going forward. So I could see exactly what you're saying is maybe this is just a blip in the radar early in the year, and with 12 games this year, you have a little bit more of a runway to make up for it.
mm,
But it's tough to start off with a loss already and not an easy
mm.
matchup coming up next in the next round. So that is it for the game breakdown. Again, really quickly on this one, we will jump to burning questions. We will do one question apiece for the men and one for the women. So we'll start off with the men. All right, Chris, I know our Swans aren't going to make finals. What's your
Yeah.
store? What's your story for this final round? What's the one thing you're going to be looking at come this final rounds of 10 games of footy? Because we have the lovely Cyclone Alfred replay of Essendon Gold Coast to come Wednesday of next week.
Um, well, I guess at this time of the season, we've got 9 teams that can play finals. I think Gold Coast is the only one. And you've got Gold Coast and Bulldogs is the game, and then I think GWS versus help me here. Who's GWS playing?
It's Bulldogs actually play Fremantle in the last game of the
Oh,
regular
right.
part of the round before the Gold Coast Essendon game, and Gold Coast play. I'm totally and completely blanking here. I apologize. Here we
No,
go. All right,
no.
so Essendon plays Carlton to start off. Gold Coast plays Port Adelaide on Friday
Oh,
night footy, and
Port.
then
Okay.
yep, and then GWS plays St Kilda at NG Stadium. Doggies play Fremantle as the last game of as one of the last games of the regular round, with Brisbane facing Hawthorn, most likely for a top four spot there before the Gold Coast Essendon game on Wednesday early next week.
Yeah, so I think for me it's the like obviously we're talking about the last positions on the ladder for most, and the main one there is going to be, as you said, there Hawks Lions. You're going to look at the Suns and Port Adelaide. The Suns have to win this game. They have to. They must do it. Can Port Adelaide just be the upset? And then you've got, of course, Freo versus the Dogs. If Freo wants to stay in the top eight, they're going to have to win that game. Otherwise, they may lose their spot to the Suns. So it's going to be half the games are going to be wrapped up in the most aggressive, over the top kind of footy you're ever going to see, and the other half is going to be a dead set, a step into the plane over to Bali. So it's going to be a really weird round for me. My Swans over there, West Coast. Obviously there's nothing to really take about that from either team. Probably from the Swans perspective, I would love to see them kind of blood a couple of blokes for absolutely no reason other than they can. Put a couple guys on ice, but yeah, it's gonna be a pretty weird season to read around, because it might actually be a round that I'll be paying attention to, considering there's only half the games that I actually have to care about, and the other half I can just go to sleep or sleep in or just do something else. So I've got a little boy now, so I sleep in the daytime is a thing. Yeah, mate. What about you? What's your game of the round?
My story is going to be is decision Sunday, because we're gonna know going into that game between Fremantle and the Western Bulldogs what they
Mm,
need to do, because Friday night footy, if Gold Coast were to lose, okay, if Gold Coast were to lose, that makes things even more interesting, because then there is the possibility of both the Western Bulldogs and Fremantle both making it. But if Gold Coast win, then we pretty much know whoever wins Fremantle, the Western Bulldogs, is in, the loser is out. So we're going to know
mm,
going into that game with Fremantle, the Western Bulldogs, we're going to know what is the stakes. Because if for some weird reason Kenny Hinkley revs up his Port Adelaide boys and they shock the Suns at home, which is perfectly possible, because
more than possible. Yeah.
Travis Boak's last game, Kenny Hinkley's last game, you never know. Sometimes you may get a Hinkley rev up. I'm not sure.
Mm,
I don't think so, but
mm,
it will not shock me, because this Suns team, again, there's still way too much remnants of teams that have fallen apart in the second half of the year, even despite Damian Hardwick. So we're gonna know going into that Fremantle game, that's for me, it's decision Sunday, because we're
mm.
gonna know going into that Bulldogs Dockers game, what is it for? Is it for the last spot, or is it a point where if Fremantle win, the Western Bulldogs keep it close, because Gold Coast lose, could both still get in if Gold Coast, but then again, that game in hand is going to be really weird on Wednesday.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
like I said, Sunday is going to be a fun one. It's going to be a fascinating one for me, just because that 12:15 start for me, it's going to be a long night, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to not want to watch that Brisbane Hawthorn game as the main event. It's going to be fun. I cannot wait.
I
But I
mean,
think Sunday is going to be a decision day for sure, because we're going to know going into that doggies game what's on the plate for both teams.
but I mean, Bulldogs and Frio. I mean, one of those teams is playing finals at the very very least, right?
Yep.
So
Oh yeah.
it's yeah, and to see the Bulldogs fighting for a top eight spot, considering the way that they play and playing, is unbelievable. Like they are a much better team than this, and it blows my mind, really. So in terms of what they can do, the teams above them. So let's see where they go. But if the Bulldogs get in, they are a smoky once again. Unfortunately, 2016 come crawling back to me, but they are a genuine smoky. So let's see where we go with those guys.
It,
They are
it'll
they are tough.
Yeah, it's going to be a fascinating. I agree with what somebody said. Is this could be a year where all eight sides are genuine chances to win the premiership,
Oh,
just
they
because.
100% are. There's not a single name on that list that I just go, that must be the team.
Nope,
Every one of those players, except
there
for
is
one.
no team
Like,
making up the numbers for sure this year. There isn't one of those
yeah.
teams where you go, well, you're going to lose in the first round of the finals. No, you're legitimately going, any single one of these, if they catch a heater at just the right time, has a
Hmm.
shot. So let's go to our women's question. And it's more because when two of the big three fall in one round, it is a shocker. So for me, how shocked were you that both Brisbane and Adelaide fall in the same round?
I didn't believe it actually. So when it came up, I actually looked at the screen. I was like, "Oh, this must be like the
A
an
joke.
old round that I saw. Like, oh, it's just from
Exactly.
from 7 years ago or something." And so I was like, oh, okay, this actually happened. And then that was all the talking point. Everyone was just baffled, and it was like, and rightly so. They've been unbelievably competitive to the point where it's just been unfair. And to every other club, it's just like we cannot get past these people. It's like a fortress, and we're trying to get the fortress with Lego. Like it's just not good enough. It's good to see the competition needs some of this. Like I said, there's two spots that are typically just three spots that are arguably been cemented in for so long that maybe they're up for grabs. And the competition is so short. It's been 10 games before 11, now it's 12. The competition is so short. You only really have one crack at making sure your whole team is put together for an entire season. You lose like we did a Chloe Malloy, and your whole team becomes unraveled. Your whole
Mhm.
forward line just struggles. So like this is where we've actually got a chance here. And I'm talking to the rest of the teams, not outside of those three. We actually have a chance to have a crack at this one. So let's see where we go. I would love to see Brisbane and Adelaide kind of and also change a bit of their style as a result of all of this to kind of change up the football. I think football's changing underneath them. They created that contested footy. I think that's a big part of what their identity with all those teams. And they've effectively built the blueprint of how to be a very successful team with the talent and the quality of talent that's coming through. Zippy Fish is just an example of that. Um, I think the game might change in the way that these youngins are able to play. It might move really quick. We might actually see some of the more skills being used up. The contested footy may be less of a focus, and you might see a bit more like free flowing footy. So if that happens, that'd be great. Get that ball rolling into the forwards a bit more smoothly, and you have more shots at goal and more dangerous spots. The whole competition should be better for it. So I guess if I were to summarize it, I hope they do. I hope the three of them struggle. I hope they go down. I hope this results in a whole change of the style of football that we end up playing.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. I would say I wasn't super shocked that Hawthorn beat Brisbane, to be honest, because I know, again, Hawthorn is a very well-built side. I think they've done fantastic. I think that the change from Beck Goddard to, I can't even remember his name. I apologize to the Hawthorn fans that are watching it, but they've been fantastic with this list build because they've kind of mirrored Brisbane a little bit. Brisbane does use a lot of fitness. They like to run. They're Energizer bunnies. They're constantly going. And he's brought a lot of that to Hawthorn, but he's changed the tiniest bit. It's just been very well built together. I think Adelaide, I think they're finally starting to kind of come to this realization. Again, the old Crows that were the dominants of the league where nobody could touch them, it's kind of filtering out because a lot of those superstars that won the premierships, if I remember correctly, they're down to only five on the entire list that have won premierships from their first one. So it's starting to differ out. I think the addition of the national draft, going to where South Australia, to be honest with it, let's be honest, has one of the strongest women's programs in all of Australia. Let's just be honest. Anybody that
Yep.
argues with me, I simply look at it. If you look at
Yep.
the pure amount of South Australian talent on the Adelaide and Port Adelaide list, it's no argument. There is much more spread out talent in Victoria. Western Australia is starting to get there, considering two of the top five picks were Western Australians and Molly O'Hare and Zippy Fish. Um, but it's been, but the fact that Adelaide doesn't have that automatic of, oh my gosh, we've got 10 girls that we could pick that are top 10 picks, but because we were state-based drafts, they all could go into that system. Now that that
Mm.
talent is starting to shift its way out to New South Wales, to Victoria, to Western Australia, that you're starting to see the evening out of the competition. I know that there's a lot of people that were frustrated. It's going to come. It's going to take a little bit. We're still going to have great teams, North, Adelaide, Brisbane, Melbourne. It's going to take 2 or 3 years before they kind of balance out the talent because they can only stay with the superstars for so long. Eventually, they will need young talent. Melbourne's kind of already started it a little bit, but they've still got Kate Hoare. They've still got Taylor Harris. They've still got Taylor Hanks. They've still got a ton of superstar talent on that team, but they're starting to get some pieces. Daisy Pierce is retired. Libby Birch moved over to North. Now Lily Mithen has went up to Gold Coast. So you're starting to see these super teams, these teams were very well built, even North a little bit. Emma Carney. cannot play forever. She's eventually going to retire. Kate Sheelor is eventually going to retire. Emma King is going to retire. Some of these mega superstars that are some of the best in the competition, when they leave the game, it's going to balance this competition out. So I know it's frustrating for some W fans. It's the same three or four teams every year. That's the way it's going to be early when you can assemble a lot of talent. But
Mm,
Scott Gowan's built that North team. Scott Gowans is now with Sydney. You're starting to see Port Adelaide and what they're doing with the South Australian talent there. You're starting to see Essendon. I think that they signed some heavy hitters early. Now they're starting to get some younger talent in. Hawthorn has done the same thing. I cannot wait. I'm shocked a little bit more of the margin with Adelaide, not so much
mm,
with Brisbane, but it's shocking when two of the big three go down in one round. That was extremely shocking. But I agree with you. It's good for the competition. I know it's not so great for their fan bases, but it's good for the competition that these
mm,
teams are starting to get competitive games and are being beaten by teams that previously, I mean, it was just, it was easy. You marked it up at the start of the year. Adelaide's going to win this game. Not so much anymore, which I think is great for the
mm,
competition. So that is all we're going to do for burning questions with this. Like I said, mega episode. Got to shorten it just the tiniest bit. We'll have some fun. This is the first time I'm ever going to do this. I had to do two teams of the week because I had to do a men's and a women's. So this is going to be fun. Chris, this is going to be interesting for the women. I'll be fascinated to see how many of the names I put on here that you actually know. I'm just gonna mess with them a little bit. So we'll start with the men. On the fullback line, we have Logan with Griffin Logue of the North Melbourne Kangaroos. Tommy McCartan finally kicks a goal as a fullback. He's the other fullback. And then Ruben Jimby of the West Coast Eagles, what he did against the Western Bulldogs. Round of applause to you, sir. Not so sure I like the haircut, but to each their own. To the halfback line, we see Andrew McGrath of the Essendon Bombers, Bailey Dale of the Western Bulldogs, and Dane Zorko of the Brisbane Lions. In the guts, we have Big Pistol Pete Laddams is the ruck. You kick two goals as a ruckman, you're going to get a little bit of a step up in Coach Hess's team of the week. On the wings, we have Dylan Moore of the Hawthorn Hawks and the former doctor, now footy player, Sam Davidson of the Western Bulldogs. In the guts, Mr. 53, Mr. 43 himself, Harry Sheasel, Crippa, Patrick Cripps of the Carlton Blues, and Marcus Bontempelli of the Western Bulldogs figure out the end of the center midfielders. On the half forward line, we have GWS's Harry Rouston, Geelong's Sean Manna, dang it, that guy really annoyed me in this game, but he's a darn good one for the former Werribee player. And Brisbane Lions, Logan Morris, round out the half forward line. The full forward line, we see the ever reliable Jack Dunstan of the Hawthorn Hawks, Harry Mackay of the Carlton Blues, and Paul Curtis of the North Melbourne Kangaroos rounds out the full forward line. On the bench, I got to give Adelaide a little bit of help here, so we'll put Josh Worrell as the defender. The ruck will be Darcy Cameron of the Collingwood Magpies. The midfielder will be Nick Dacos of the Collingwood Magpies, and the forward on the bench is Cooper Sherman of the St. Kilda Saints. So we will now jump to the women's team of the week. On the fullback line, she burned us twice at North Sydney Oval. Beck Miller of the Richmond Tigers and Hannah Priest of the St. Kilda Saints. Along the halfback line, we have St. Kilda's Serene Watson, Hawthorn's Tilly Lucas Rod, and Sydney's Zippy Fish round out the halfback flank. On the wings, we have Maggie McDonald of Essendon and Maddie Newman of the Adelaide Crows. In the center, we have Courtney Murphy of the Essendon Bombers. And through the center, we have Kate Hoare of the Melbourne Demons, West Coast's Ella Roberts, and Melbourne Demons' Taylor Hanks round out the center midfield. Along the half forward line, we have Carlton's Erone Fitzpatrick, Fremantle's Haley Miller, and the legend that is Chloe Malloy of the Sydney Swans round out the half forward line. At the full forward line, we have Holly Ridewood of the Essendon Bombers and the talk of the Friday night footy, Lucia Painter of the West Coast Eagles rounds out the starters. On the bench, we have defender Brisbane's Jade Ellinger. The midfielder is Maddie Prespakis of the Essendon Bombers. The rock is Sabrina Frederick of the Collingwood Magpies. The forward is GWS's Tardy Evans. And my utility, which is best player from any of those positions, has to be North Melbourne's Jazz Garner. Round out the lineup for team of the week. I know that's a lot of names really quickly. Men's team of the week, thoughts?
I like to see the fact. it's great to see the best eyebrows in football, Harry Sheezel, making sure that he can get as many parts that he can. Like that kid is. We get so much discussion about all these other players. You forget that Harry Sheezel has been doing this for a little bit longer than them and a lot more consistent. He is unbelievable. And for those who don't watch North games, which I don't blame you, I guess it's not much of a reason to watch them if you're a neutral to one of those games, but it's strongly recommended just for some of that midfield talent or the talent across that entire team. North is a good team on paper and got a lot of youth. And I'm kind of a little bit scared of them for next year. So I think they're going to be right in there, yeah, led by the eyebrows himself, Sheetal. So he's a good guy. That's a good call. And then of course, like, I'm just going to lean into the two swans on the W team. Look, Malloy. What can you say about Malloy about apart from the fact that she is playing up forward, her natural self? She's able to do that because we've got some more depth. We can do that. Sophia Hurley, with that time off, spent all that time in the midfield, getting herself the Bob medal, the Bob Sear as a result of it. Garner, and then you got Zippy Fish just running around putting. Yes, it's fantastic. So Chloe Malloy being up forward is going to be a big part of making sure that the Swannies can stay dangerous. And if she stays there all season, I think that's just going to go to show how well the team is actually coming together. I think that's the key point.
Yeah, it's going to be the one thing with AFLW because it's so short is health is the best when it comes to it. The more healthy your
Yeah.
list is, the better. Now, it was a fun round. Seeing Lucia Painter go absolutely bonkers in that Friday night game was absolutely fantastic, especially being another draft pick. Again,
Mm.
that's why I agree with Gemma Bastiani. I think this eventually could be deemed a super draft when you have Ash Centra, Havana Harris, Zippy Fish, Molly O'Hare, Lucia Painter. You could just keep, and there were even picks in the 30s and 40s. Indy Rashid drops to ninth. There's so many really, really good players. It's going to be fun to watch this group grow. It's going to be fascinating. So we will round out this episode tipping round 24 for the men and round two for the women. We will tip that Wednesday. We will not tip that Wednesday game, okay? Because technically that is next round, technically.
Yep.
So we're gonna skip that game on that. So let's start off Thursday night footy again, due to Hurricane Alfred. You really annoy me, you stupid cyclone. Essendon v Carlton, Thursday night footy, MCG. Who do you like in this one?
Nothing. Simple. Simple. Sorry, the Bombers is just not Carlton.
Yep.
Carlton's
Tipping
got
the
no
Blues,
pressure.
but I'm
So
hoping.
they all of a sudden, yeah, Carlton has no pressure. So all of a sudden they're going to be playing amazingly. No worries. It may be the last time some of these players play with each other as well. So it looks like they're going to be a bit of a fire sale. So see where we go.
Yeah, it'll be fascinating.
Simple.
You got the Blues in this one. Hoping Essendon gives us another competitive Thursday night footy game. On Friday, we have two games. The first of the two sees the Collingwood Magpies hosting the Melbourne Demons. Can the Demons pull a shocker, or can the Pies get there together?
They're going to have to. So I think I'm picking the Pies. I just feel Fly is just kind of getting them lined up for the right time of the season. I think last week game was really disappointing from them for three quarters. Just the way that they went out there and just competed. So I think this time around he's going to say, this is the one. This is the walk up before the finals kick in. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think Pies by a lot.
Pies win this one, but I think the Demons stay close in this. If they can put a little bit of pressure and Keziah Pickett can get off the chain. If he can get off the chain, this is a chance. Pies win this one, but wouldn't be shocked if the D's are in this come the fourth quarter. So over to Adelaide, as I said, Kenny Hinkley and Travis Boak, bon voyage to the Port Adelaide faithful. The last time that they will get to hear "Never Tear Us Apart." Can they pull off the stunner and beat the Suns? I don't think so, but I will say this. It will not shock me if they do, because Kenny Hinkley always seems to find a way to pull one out of a body cavity. I don't like saying on this podcast. Tipping Suns will not surprise me if Port pulls a shocker here.
Yeah, Suns. Let's go Suns. As an East Coaster that's outside of the big markets or big market, you love to see some of these expansion clubs kind of get out. So yeah, go to Suns. I really want them to come up. I want them to play the finals. Um, yeah, and I don't disagree with everything you said there. Like Hinkley and the boys over there could just go, this is our last proper crack at it. And they love playing with Boak, right? There's no doubt about it. That guy is an absolute animal. But sorry, Boki, it's going for the Suns this week.
Yep. So again, an incredible career for Boak, and again, an incredible coaching career for Kenny Hinkley on that one. Let's go to the Saturday slate as we see the Crows get a nice little easy win, nice little easy game against North Melbourne. I think North give them a crack here. I'm just hoping Adelaide does not let some of the drama that's happening this weekend get in their heads. I think they win this at Marvel. And I think this is a nice little, but I'm again, this is another one. Keep an eye on it because North could have a crack just to have a crack to say, hey, we beat the minor premiers in the last game of the round. So tipping Crows, thinking North could be sneaky in this.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think Crows have got this, but if they're down at halftime, that would also not surprise me necessarily. Or at least there's a bit of an arm wrestle at some point during the third quarter. So, but yeah, look, there's just too much talent in the Crows, and North is still kind of building up. But like I said, I think North's year is next year. I'm actually
Yeah.
quite excited about where they end up. I mean,
All
not that
right.
excited to be fair, but I think they're going to do okay.
All right. We back to the MCG as the Cats come to town to face the Tigers. Do the Cats try to get Jeremy as many goals as possible in this game, or does Geelong get themselves ready for another deep, long September run?
I really like this one. I'm glad you brought that up because it just reminded me that the AFL has been pushing for this stupid thing. Is like,
The
oh, he's got
100.
6 games. Oh, he's got 6 games to go. He's only got to kick 60. Can he do it? It's like, obviously, no. So shut up. Stop it. Like, no one cares. So,
It's like 20,
yeah,
it's like 29 going into the Swans game. And I was
yeah,
literally sitting here going, the Swans are way too, and I didn't want to discuss it, but the Swans are way too prideful. And the fact that they got him through the entire game with no goals just kind of made me chuckle a little bit because it's
yeah.
literally making the AFL and the AFL media look really stupid because there is a possibility that Cameron doesn't get to 100. Like, there is still that possibility. I kept hearing it all the time. It's soft draw for Geelong. He's got a chance. Soft draw. Well, when you
Ugh,
have
nah.
4-0 in 2 weeks and you needed to basically average near five to
Like,
get to 100,
yeah,
but
no,
now it causes the issue that I'm hearing is like, what happens if he does it in a final? Are they going to run the? I'm like, right now, if I'm Chris Scott, I basically tell Jeremy, don't fucking worry about that. Play to win the dang
yeah.
game because in the long run, I think every single player would admit, do we want Jeremy to kick 100 or do we want to win a damn premiership? I think I know which way they're all going to pick. They're going to want to win the premiership. I think Cameron goes for 7 or 8 just to tease us. And then maybe it gets interesting come finals just because it is Richmond. But
Mm.
Richmond could legitimately take issue with it and get after him. So it'll be fun. I got the Cats in this one. I think the Cats just too good. This could be one of those that they spread it out. This could be 50, 60 points here on that.
Yep.
Another one that could get ugly quickly. West Coast Eagles versus Sydney Swans. I agree with you. Hopefully they blood, but Dean Cox may want to get them going again, get some confidence back into the group going into the offseason. Think the Swans win this one. West Coast, I think they just want this season to end.
Yes, that's it. That's it. That's all we can say about this game. Just let it end. Let the pain end. Let's get on with it.
All
Both
right.
teams. Yeah.
Let's go up to NG Stadium. Giants, Saints. The Giants, all they have to do is win and they guarantee themselves a final spot. Giants win this one. Saints, plucky, but I think the Giants just too good.
Giants by about 4 goals, I'd say, in this one. But they're going to go out there and actually play really, really hard. That's their style. They're not going to let this one kind of get away from them. They're going to go out there and win this final.
All
This is going
right.
to treat this one like a final.
Let's get to the game everybody's going to be talking about. Marvel Stadium, Duggies, Dockers. Who wins and who goes home?
Like I said, I think the Bulldogs are too good and playing such good footy. I don't see how Frio is able to kind of match them, especially when they're not playing at home. So, and Frio, they're going to have to play emotionally. They got a lot to play for. They got 5 feet kind of finishing up. They got to hit these finals. They need to play incredibly well. Can they cope with that pressure? And I think that's just going to kind of feed into the Dogs' kind of consistent method that they kind of run with, led by the big man Bond. So I'm going to go with the Dogs by about 3 or 4 goals.
I'm going to have doggies in this one. Traveling away from Perth Stadium, I think, is kind of the worst possible thing. Great doggies performance. I think they're just too good. And unfortunately, this may mean the Dockers stay home and no finals for the second straight year. They go from a final spot to sitting at home in the last
Mm.
round. And the last game of the round we will talk about for this Brisbane, Hawthorn, Gabba. I'm tipping the Hawks. A few too many injuries. I'm not liking it. I know they beat Fremantle, but Fremantle is still a team that I just can't find out what's wrong with them. So I'm not really putting a lot on this Brisbane getting a win over that, plus another injury. I like the Hawks in this one. I know the Gabatois is usually a solid place. I'm liking the Hawks the way they're playing right now.
Yeah, look, they're both going to be running out there like with a lot of steam. This is going to be a great game to watch. 7:20 on a Sunday. Are you kidding me, Eastern? That's unbelievable. I
Hmm.
cannot wait for this game. So yeah, I'm going to go. Look, I see what you're saying with Hawks there. I'm really, really undecided. I'm going to take Brisbane just for the sake of it. But it doesn't matter who wins on this day. I just think it's going to be a lot of blood and it's going to be fantastic.
I think it's going to be great. Let's jump over to the W really quick. We will start off Friday after Saturday afternoon slate. We see Collingwood VGWS at Vic Park on this one. Who do you like in this one?
Collingwood, GWS is gone for the season.
Yeah, Elise Parker's
Done.
injury, I think hurts.
Yeah.
I think hurts. Collingwood will bounce back from that Carlton win. I think you're starting to see it. Hopefully, Brianna Davies back. If she is, that could spell
Mhm.
trouble for the Giants. And that one, Collingwood for me. Melbourne Demas, St. Kilda. Can the D's knock off the team that just beat the Crows? I think so. I like the way the D's are playing. I think this is a good matchup. Saints will be plucky and be in this, but I like Taylor Hanks. I like Kate Hoare. Taylor Harris is flying for marks. Never a good thing for a defense, like in the D's in this one.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel the D's are just more competitive across the board everywhere you said.
Yep.
Just a better team. So yeah, go and take
All
the
right.
D's.
People First Stadium. I know a game we are both going to be very interested in. Suns host the Swans up at People First Stadium. I'm liking the Swans, a bigger field. Cannot wait to see Zippy Fish's speed in this one. I think Chloe goes for another four, and I think the Swans win this one impressively.
Yeah, I would like to think that. I think like a very emotional win at home with a lot of new blood in the team, a couple of players coming back from injury and Morford and Chloe Malloy. See if they can just continue that kind of vibe, if they can continue that kind of thirst that they probably easily came to them in that first game. Let's see if they can do it away. But yeah, I'm going to take my beloved Swannies. Yeah, away.
This next one is a sneaky good game of the round. Fremantle v Brisbane out west. This is a fun one. Who do you like in this one?
Yeah, what a weird game too. Like it's so early in the season. I want to say Brisbane kind of come back. I think they're going to be okay. Um, Traveling that far for that kind of game is just brutal. But I'm going to say Brizzy's going to come back, play pretty strong, play their style, and it's going to be just too much to go with. I think it's just a bit of a blip on the radar for them, and they'll figure it all out. So yeah, Brisbane by I'm going to say actually a decent amount.
This will be the measuring stick for me for Fremantle. How well do they do? Can they stay in this? If they stay in this, Fremantle is back and Fremantle is a danger come later in the season. If Brisbane come in and smash them, then maybe a little bit of a step back for the Dockers team. I like Brisbane. They usually bounce back after losses. Very rarely do they lose. I know this is not an easy trip out west. Tipping Brisbane in this one, but I want to see how Fremantle handle this because the closer they are in this game, the more I'm liking this Dockers side because they're still not healthy. Bella Smith is still to come back. They've still Anya Tig is still to come back. This is a Dockers team. Get through this game, stay close, and you've still got some really good rippers still to come back into the side. Tippin Lions think Dockers will be competitive. Hawthorn v Carlton, Kinetic Stadium down in Frankston, the gorgeous ocean view in the backside. I think the Hawks win this one and win this one impressively.
Yep, I agree with that. Hawks for top four, I think, for this year. So yeah, I'm leaving it there.
All right.
Good
Richmond
win
be
for
the
the Hawks.
Western Bulldogs icon stadium since Punt Road is under construction. I think the Tigers bounce back from a tough loss against the Swans. I think the Tigers are a solid team. The Doggies still developing a lot of youth in that. Yes, they've got Ellie Blackburn back. Still some learnings. I think the Tigers in this one.
Yep, the makeup of the team alone, even regardless of where they kind of sat for last week, yeah, the Tigers are going to win this one and probably win it pretty convincingly for me.
This is going to be a fascinating one. Arden Street Oval, North Melbourne take on Port Adelaide. This is going to be a fascinating one for me. I think the power will stay competitive till the third quarter and the class of North Melbourne takes over. North wins it, but I think Port is sneaky competitive in this game.
I'm going to go for Port, and this is an emotional bit. I want us to start, and I say us, the rest of the league, start taking over some of these big name AFLW clubs over. So, yeah, I'm going to go for Port. I'm going to think it's going to be a quick one. It's going to be a good emotional win, and then we're going to start seeing hopefully North start sliding down that ladder.
All right, let's go to Windy Hill, Essendon v. the West Coast Eagles. A fascinating one. Who do you
Mm.
like in this one?
Yeah, this is a great game. Look, I'm going to go West Coast. I feel that I think that the Eagles kind of are coming out with a whole new pizzazz of style of play, and I'm here for it. So let's go for the Eagles to kind of start, yeah, showcasing a bit of what they can do. Nothing against the Bombers, but and then yeah, a lot of like, good young talent in that too. But yeah, I'm going to go for the Eagles.
Just give me another Ella Roberts and Lou Painter show, please. I think the Eagles win this one. I like what Daisy is doing there. I think Essendon got a soft kill after Elise Parker went down for GWS. I think their percentage is a little bit of a false nomer. I think West Coast, despite the long travel from Perth, I think go down to Windy Hill and get a win. I agree with you. West Coast Eagles for me. And a fun one. Thomas Farms Oval over in Adelaide as the Crows take on the Cats. I think the Crows bounce back, but do not sleep on this Cats team. If they find a way to put some points up and put some fear into Adelaide, how do they respond? So thinking Crows, but I think Cats are sneaky in this one.
It's a tough game to come and bounce back from not playing your best. Like, you're not going to get an easy run around the field of playing against the Cats. So, but I'm still taking the Crows to kind of bounce back. Like I said, bit of a weird one for them not to have won that game, but yeah, they're playing home against another competitive side. So they're going to have to turn up on the day, and I think they're going to get it done.
Yep, definitely for sure. Well, that is it. That is all 16 games. I know that is a lot to tip. Still early in the week. It's going to be so much fun. Cannot wait. Well, Chris, really quickly, I am not going to get off this podcast without letting you shine just the tiniest bit. The man, the myth, the legend from the Bevy of Bloods, one of my favorite Swans podcasts to listen to. Tell me, sir, how are things going at the Bevy? And is there anything coming up soon that Swans fans need to keep an eye on?
Look, the bevy has been a bit of a fun one. I had a kid this year, so I haven't been on the men's podcast at all for this year. So it's been Noddy, Harps, War, and Sammy taking on duties and doing a great job of it. The AFLW, as we know, has just started. We have our separate podcast for that. So that's myself and Jen and Steve again for this year. Really enjoyed doing it. It's going to be fun. So it's just been away from the microphone a little bit too long. Feel a bit rusty right now, to be totally honest with you. But yeah, the baby is cool, man. Like life is kind of changing a lot underneath me, and it's been great fun. But I really am enjoying the AFL women's season kicking on because it's basically come at the right time. The little one's just coming on to 8 months now, so I can kind of get away from him to go watch a football for a couple of hours. Um, I think, yeah, in terms of the Swan side, look, AFLW for the Swannies is where it's at. I think we'll kind of prime it for the season to be really, really good for us. It started off immediately quite well. CP Fish just kind of extra just turned that on. So if you're a Swans fan and you don't watch too many AFLWs just because you haven't gotten around to it, this very much is the season to do it. We've got a lot of names in that team we may be seeing for quite some time. There's a lot of young players. And if we're able to be competitive and we've got a fantastic coach there in Gowans, this might be seeing ourselves going a bit deeper than we normally would. And it may be the consistent part of what we need. Otherwise, in terms of the men's side, yeah, very disappointing season. A lot of injuries, a lot of change in the club. New CEO, new coach. Next year we're arguably looking at some captaincy changes and stuff. And there's going to be a lot of new names coming in, you'd hope anyway. So we're in a weird spot of the club in the men's side. A little bit concerned, but that's footy, mate. It's not meant to be easy. It's just you're meant to just take it on day by day, and yeah, you kind of love it a bit too much sometimes.
I would say this: if footy fandom would be easy, you'd be winning premierships every year, and it's just not possible. Sometimes you got to
Uh,
go
uh,
through it. So,
It's
yeah,
not as fun. It's
no,
not as fun.
but I
No.
but I love it. The interaction is fantastic. Again, like I said, another one of those that there's several Swan supporter podcasts that I listen to. All of you guys You bring different aspects. I love that because I no fan is ever going to be exactly the same. So I truly appreciate it. Chris, as always, sir, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast. I know it's not easy with a young one, but it's always fun to talk with you, sir. Again, enjoy things down in Sydney. Please go to as many women's games and throw a few cheers out for me. I wish I could be there. If only they invented teleports so I could just go there without having to worry about spending so much money. So, Chris, it has been fantastic. And that is going to do it for another episode of Donnie's Disposals. Next round, we will be doing this again. Again, round 24. We will also be previewing the men's finals and covering round two. So will be the last time for this year. So whenever we have overlaps, I'll try to do them together just to kind of make life a little bit easier and do it in one giant podcast. So that's going to do it for this episode today. If you like what you are listening to when it comes to footy, please like and subscribe, and we'll be back with more footy coverage very, very soon.